Your AS diagnosis does not define your ability as an individual unless you let it. If you have AS or any type of chronic illness, one of the worst mistakes you can make is allowing this diagnosis to define you and what you're capable of. And one of the quotes that I really love is statistics apply to a general population, not an individual. And the reason why this is relevant is because if you take the time to look at the statistics on any type of illness, not just AS, you will find that the prognosis between people varies significantly. And this can be very scary if you don't understand that statistics apply to a general population, not an individual. When it comes to AS, there's people like myself who are doing extremely well. I don't experience pain on a daily basis, and I'm a quite active person. However, there are also people who are physically crippled and unable to walk. And the point I'm trying to make from this is you need to live your own life and be your own statistic. So who am I? I said it a little bit earlier, but my name's Ryan. I've had this illness for 8 years now. I'm currently 24, and it started when I was 16 and I got diagnosed at 18. I used to be extremely crippled. I couldn't walk, and on a regular basis, I was extremely ill. My family had to take care of me. So that was my life before. Now, as of recently, in the past 2 years, I've only had one flare on a regular basis. Besides that flare, I haven't experienced any physical pain from this illness. On top of that, I'm even physically stronger when I didn't have AS. And most importantly, overall, I'm happy and fulfilled. As you can see from what I said earlier, my life was not always like this. I used to be extremely anxious about the future. I used to be extremely depressed. I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to achieve any of my goals because of this illness. And back then, I was letting this diagnosis define me as a person, and I was letting it limit me. Some doctors would talk to me about this, and I also had a physical therapist talk to me about this, about not letting this illness define me. But the issue that I experienced was that these people had never experienced this level of adversity. So I'm hoping that by sharing my story from someone that's actually experienced the same level of pain, or maybe you've experienced worse, but we have the same condition. I understand it more than most people. I'm hoping that this message means more because I'm making this video because I wish I had this when I was 17 and 18 when I got diagnosed and I was extremely worried. So after you get diagnosed, your life can go one of two ways. You can allow this circumstance that's out of your control to stop you from living the happy life you want, or you can double down on what is in your control and you can still live a great life. I hope I don't have to explain why doubling down is the better option. So what exactly are you doubling down on? What did I double down on to get myself into this better position in life despite having this illness? Well, the only thing you can control is your mental attitude or your frequency. And alongside that, you can step up and start taking better care of your health. When you experience something so severe that's out of your control, it's really easy to get into a victim mindset. But the issue with that is if you get into a victim mindset, you give away all your power. So it's extremely important that you focus on what is in your control, which is your mindset about everything, your mental attitude. And I'm keeping it very practical with this one because if you're watching this, you most likely have a chronic illness or you have AS. You got to step up and start taking better care of your health. I would argue that the mental aspect is the most important part for overcoming any type of chronic illness because your mental attitude or your frequency is the reality you experience. Your mental attitude about your illness is your prognosis. Let me say that again. Your mental attitude, whether it's extremely negative or it's extremely positive, is your prognosis. The best course of action is to adopt a positive mental attitude because you don't really have any other choice unless you don't want to be happy. The reason why I'm sharing all of this, and this ties back to the mental attitude, is your external reality will never transform unless you first transform internally. And this concept is for anything in life. But for this video in particular, in regards to overcoming this illness and living a healthy, happy life, your external reality will never transform unless you first transform internally. Your internal world is the only thing you have control over. So it makes sense to go all in on it, to double down on it, to take the best care of yourself. to be as positive as you can. And I know that might sound kind of corny. I know when I was younger, I thought that was pretty corny, but like I said before, you don't really have any other choice. You can either adapt and overcome, or you can succumb and give up. And if you're watching this, I know you don't want to give up. That's the whole point of making this video. So that was just a bunch of conceptual stuff. And I hate when people make videos and it's just conceptual and they don't give any practical advice. So I'm going to give you an exact playbook on how to move forward with AS. And remember, this is from someone that's lived with it for 8 years now. So number one, you need to listen to your body and figure out what you need to do to heal. And this part is person specific. What works for someone else might not work for you. What worked for me may or may not work for you. You need to take the time to understand your own body and adapt. Number two, you got to consult your rheumatologist and also advocate for yourself. This is a mistake that you might be making. I'm going to put this in even though this wasn't something I experienced. Your rheumatologist can only help you if you're advocating for yourself. If you think you need more help, talk to them. And as a disclaimer, I'm not giving any advice on pharmacology or the medications you should be taking. That's not in my scope. That's not what I do as a coach. But I wanted to include this in because it's so important. Number three, you got to adopt a new mental attitude for yourself. But very specifically for this video, don't place any limits on yourself just because you got diagnosed with this illness. There are people with this illness that have ran marathons. There are people with this illness that have done so many great things. I'll even talk about my own life. Like the things that I did after I got diagnosed, I had never even done before I hadn't had this illness. And that's skydiving or traveling to Japan and going on adventures. I did a bunch of new things. It's very important you don't limit yourself. This is just one aspect of your life. It doesn't have to be your whole life. It doesn't have to ruin you. Number four, I think this is important for anybody, but it's especially important if you have a chronic illness. You need to take better care of your physical health. You need to dial in the fundamentals. So what exactly are the fundamentals? The fundamentals are eating clean, whole foods, drinking enough water, getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep, adopting a frequency of well-being, and managing your stress. If you don't manage your stress, that can make you extremely ill. And this isn't just for anybody with this isn't just for people with AS. This is for anybody. So dialing in the fundamentals is extremely important. And lastly, depending on where you are, begin strengthening your body. And the reason why I included depending on where you are is because I don't know who's watching this. If someone's watching this and they're like completely crippled, obviously they're not just going to go into the gym and start repping pull-ups. You know, that doesn't make sense. But you need to start where you are. You need to assess yourself and begin strengthening yourself when you are ready. The reason why strengthening your body is so important is because a stronger body equals a higher quality of life. You just have to move forward based on where you are. And I want to share my story of strengthening my body because it started from going from crippled to being able to walk. And then from walking, I began going to the gym. And then over time, my body adapted and I was able to do more at the gym and I got stronger. And now I really like where I am now, where I don't have any pain and I'm able to do calisthenics. And it's quite fun. I really like doing pull-ups. But the point of me sharing this is to say that everyone starts somewhere. You know, start where you are currently, begin from there, and just start strengthening your body. If you don't know where to begin, your goal should be at least to get to a solid baseline of having a good quality of life when it comes to daily functioning, meaning you can walk, you can get around without pain, you can go out with your friends if you want to, you can work without any problem. That's a good starting point. And then from there, you can build up. Hopefully you found this information not only useful, but also implementable into your own life. And if you'd like some more guidance, I now offer one-on-one coaching specifically for people with AS. Now I have my mission statement and I'm going to say it, but I feel like it's a little vague and I like to be specific. But the mission statement is I help motivated people with AS reclaim their vitality through practical metaphysics and fitness. That statement by itself is a bit vague, so I wanted to tell you exactly what my service is. I offer a curated, individual, specific well-being program that I'll create for you based on where you are physically and mentally. I'll help you build your new mental attitude and body depending on your unique goals. Alongside that, you'll have access to my fitness app, so together we can easily track your habits and your goals and your overall fitness progression, alongside having all the information I give to you clearly organized. On top of that, we'll have one-on-one coaching calls each week, and every single day you can text me for tech support. And I know there's a bunch of AI bullshit going around. I hate that stuff too. So just know that if you're ever texting me online, it's actually me. It's not an AI, whether that's an email, whether that's a message, it's actually me. The reason I set my service up like this is because as you evolve, your journey evolves with you. And I'll be there to guide you through each part of the process. Whether you're coming in and you're struggling with daily functioning and you're having a hard time walking, I'll be able to help you. Or if you want to do a body recomp and become stronger in the gym, I can also help you. The whole point of this service, though, is to give you a faster progression than if you went alone. I had to figure out all of this stuff on my own for 8 years. And although I did have the help of physical therapists and doctors, there was a lot of missing information that I had to figure out on my own. What I'm trying to say is a lot of my suffering and struggle was unnecessary. I just didn't have the proper guidance. And that's what my coaching service offers to you. Guidance from someone that's already walked the journey that will be able to hold your hand through each step of the process. Because I believe that everyone deserves to live a healthy, happy, and also strong life. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can apply for one-on-one coaching down below, link in the bio. But nonetheless, take all this information and actually implement it into your life. Because I say this in every video because it is so important. Your life will never transform unless you first transform. External reality is never going to get better unless your internal world is optimized and made better. So don't make the mistake of waiting for things to change externally before you first change internally. I love you guys. I hope this video was useful. Have a great day. Take care. Peace.